Okay, let's get going. Today's 6/18. This is video number 134. And here we're talking about factoring two variables. So you've seen this before. It's not the first time you've seen stuff like this. I'm going 1, 2, 3. I'll give you work on it. And notice that number 3 starts with a negative term, just so you see it's all the same. And the basic point here would be that it's the coefficients that count, not the variables themselves. So here you see an algebraic expression, a trinomial, second degree, and the difference, of course, is the c and the d of the variables, any numbers you choose according to restrictions. So there we go, and we need to factor this, and so that's today's lesson. That's what we're going to practice today. And of course, I'm going to use the grouping method. And it only makes sense that if you can FOIL these guys, then you can just do their opposite operation, which of course is to factor them. So you can go back and forth, back and forth. This might be, for example, the area of a rectangle, and you would factor that and find the perimeter. It's just two variables, and I repeat again, it's the coefficients that matter. So let's make a little point before we start this. CD always equals DC, for the same reason that 2 times 3 always equals 3 times 2. You learned in elementary school in 6th grade this is the commutative property of multiplication. You don't have to know that. You just have to know that these are like terms. And you just switch them around. We'll always go in alphabetical order, although even that doesn't matter as long as you are consistent. So I'll erase that there and begin to work on the problem. So 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And so two numbers that multiply out to negative 18 but add up to 7. And like I said, you got to practice this. You have plenty of problems to practice and go over. 9 minus 2 is 7. There's the key, the 9 and the negative 2. You have to be able to do that. You're big boys and girls now, okay? So I rewrite in any order, as we said before. And I'm going to take my time here. There's d squared. So there we are. Okay, we have the thing written out here. And 3 terms became just like before. And now I'm going to factor out this, and the 3 works, and the c works. That takes out and makes these two coprime. So there's 2c, and there's the 3 over there, and the c factored out. So then you have the d. So you'll practice that. I'll give you practice today. Okay? These are coprime, and there's the factor, the monomial factor that I took out. And now I rewrite this just like before, and figure out what's missing that attaches them both. And if you look carefully, I'm missing the d over here to make this a d squared. So it looks like minus d gets the job done. Okay? And by the way, this is a minus. Sorry about that. Okay? When I factored everything out. And again, you can check this times this is this. And this times this is that. Okay? Whoops. There we go. This times this is that. Sorry about that. Okay? One more time. This times this is that. This times this is that. This matches this. And the factorization is complete. It's 3c minus d attached to 2c plus 3d. And even though I stumbled a little bit here, you guys should definitely figure out that works. And as we're working on this, just to show you that it always works, the ideas are the same. I'm going to divide 3c minus d into 6c squared plus 7cd minus 3d squared. And guess what I'm going to get? I'm going to get the other factor, okay? So 3c into 6d squared goes 2c. This times this is this. Okay? Take the opposite. Take the opposite. There's 9cd minus 3d squared. And now this goes into this. 3c times matching. Okay? Excuse me, 3D times. And this times this is this. That's a D, by the way. Okay? And then finally, this times this matches that. Remainder is 0. And this times this equals this over here. So it's all the same math. Okay? Just that extra variable. Some of you might take a little bit more time to do the factoring because there's an extra variable there. But you can check through my math. You can pause this and you can see that it's all done properly. Okay? So now the second one, I'm going to do it a little faster. Well, not necessarily faster, but I'm going to do it and move it along. And the best way to get good at this, or better at this, I should say, is to practice. And so you'll get plenty of practice. And those of you who are working on this, probably starting to find it quite easy. It's no big deal. Again, you focus on the fact that there are coefficients that are going on here, and you're in good shape. So that one's taken care of, and we even checked it, which I'm not asking you to do, but occasionally you should do that. Well, this times this is negative 72, if my math is correct. And what two numbers add up to 72 but have a coefficient of 1? And the math is consistent. You know there's a positive 1 there. AB is 1AB. AB plus AB is 2AB, and on and on. Just follows the rules of the integers. So that means that negative 72 equals 9 times negative 8. Positive has to be bigger than the negative. And there's my reasoning written out, which I'm assuming that most of you are getting either by a little bit more labor or starting to get it. It really helps to know your times tables, of course. And there's 12AB plus 9AB minus 8AB minus 6B squared. And there we go again. We rewrote it into 4 terms. You're very familiar with that now. 12 and 9 share the 3. They both share the A. What's left? There's a 4A. Double check yourself all the time. I make mistakes all the time here too. And there's 3B. Double check yourself. 3A times 3B equals 9AB. And now I rewrite it. It makes it easier to work this way, especially if you don't love this stuff, right? And what number is going to work over here? And it looks like the negative 2B works. So let's see. This times this is that. And this times this is that. So I found it. It's 3A minus 2B times 4A plus 3B. Notice when things get a little more complicated, it's a great idea to just rewrite this and just look for what works to make it happen. Because it's very tedious to write out all the factors and to cancel. Like I showed you before, that 8th graders used to do quite a bit before they changed the exams. It's just tedious and boring. So hopefully you can do it in your head. But remember, I could write this out, factor each one, and then just match them and put the negative 2b, which would be on the outside. But in this kind of math, mental math helps quite a bit. So anyway, there's the answer. You can FOIL it. That's easier, or divide it, and either way you get the answer. Okay? And so finally, I'll move over to the first one over here, with third one over here, which I put in the corner. And again, as I showed you, so you can see the rules, I factored out the negative 1. Okay, so it's a great idea. All right? It's often confusing, and now that you have 2 variables to play around with all that stuff. And so 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and it looks like negative 4 plus 1 equals negative 3, and negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. So it looks like I got that one down. So I keep my negative 1 out here. I'll write the negative 1. Not that necessary. And it's really very, if you think about it, it's very close to what we call complete factoring, right? We're just making the math work in our favor. And here's 4ab, there's plus ab, and there's minus 2b squared. And I have to get rid of the clutter weaker students don't like letter. Okay. There we go. All right? So there we go. I factored out the 1. Now I'm breaking it up into 4 terms. I write the -1 again. I'll need that at the end. And the 2a factors out. There's an a here. Again, work backwards as I recommended. Minus 2b. Again, work backwards. There it is, working out for you. You should be doing this. Rewrite. Like I said, I'll give you lots of practice today. And what term's going to work over here to make this go? And it looks like it's going to be the b and the plus. Okay? All right? And check again, this times this is BA, but BA has been explained to you as AB, and B times negative this is that. And now we rewrite, and it's 2A plus B times A minus 2B. And then, as I mentioned before, in the textbooks, you'll see it this way. They drop the -1. We just left it there so kids just know what they're doing, and there on the bottom, focus it in, is the answer probably that the Regents book would want to see. So you see, it's really no big deal. Okay? You can do anything as long as it's factorable, and of course, as long as the coefficients are reasonable. I mean, you can make the numbers as big as you want, they can still be factorable. But that's not Regents math. They don't do that kind of stuff. Okay? And then I'll just put this over here just in case some kids. And it's easy enough to stumble, but again, this is one of those things where if you get the concept, a bit of practice will help you out because you're sure that if they're telling you to factor it, it's factorable, and the coefficients aren't that big. There are only so many possibilities that work. Okay? So with that, I'll end this, and what you need now is a little bit of practice, and what's next on the road is we got to talk about special cases, which really means perfect squares.